Former President Donald Trump has his sights set on ousting Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and he's currently looking for a challenger to essentially primary Mitch McConnell when he's up for re-election. Trump has spoken recently with senators and allies about trying to depose McConnell and whether any Republicans are interested in mounting a challenge. Now, why exactly is Trump so salty toward Mitch McConnell, who, I will admit, as much as I despise the man, has actually been incredibly successful in accomplishing many of Trump's goals, including tax cuts for the rich. He also succeeded in confirming literally hundreds of Trump's federal judges. Well, you can never be loyal enough to Donald Trump. And so McConnell has said that President Biden won the election and that Trump's wild falsehoods about the outcome were responsible for the January 6th riots at the Capitol. They have also split on policy this year when McConnell joined 18 fellow Senate Republicans in voting for a roughly $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, despite Trump saying the deal makes the Republicans look weak, foolish, and dumb. Trump does not want to give the Biden administration any sort of win because, of course, he's planning on challenging Biden in the 2024 general election. So what's really fascinating, though, which I'll get to in just a moment, is how Republican senators who tend to be loyalists to Donald Trump have responded to these calls to oust McConnell. I'll get to that in a second. Cenk, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna start with that too. Tommy Tuberville is one of them, and I'll read you the quotes. But these are die-hard Trump loyalists. And it makes sense because the Republican voters are with Donald Trump. So then that should lead you to the question of, wait a minute, so why are even the most die-hard Trump loyalists not agreeing with Trump, but agreeing with McConnell in this case? Well, that seems weird, doesn't it? I mean, that might cost them their whole career. Tommy Tuberville won that Alabama Senate seat specifically because he kissed Donald Trump's ass. And Trump was disappointed with Jeff Sessions. So he owes everything to Donald Trump, yet even he doesn't go along. Why? Here's the killer stats. Political action, I'm quoting the Wall Street Journal here. Political action committees run by allies of Mr. McConnell, including the Senate Leadership Fund, American Crossroads, and various state-specific groups, spent $462.5 million in helping to elect Republicans in just 2020. So in just the last cycle, McConnell brought in $462 million. Now, how about Trump? Trump's also got a lot of money. Also quoting the Wall Street Journal here. In the first 6 months of 2021, Mr. Trump stockpiled $102 million in political cash. He reported no donations to Republican campaigns during that time. So Trump raises an incredible amount of money and gives nothing, zero to other Republicans.
Right.
Me, because that's Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Tuberville and so many of the others, they actually need McConnell's money to win.
Yep.
They need Trump's endorsement, but they need McConnell's money.
Ooh, tricky situation.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it so much. Oh, they're being pulled in two different directions. What can they do? Well, here's the statement from Tuberville. He says, nah, I'm not going to get in that fight. McConnell is doing a good job. But he's not the only one who had this type of statement. Senator John Kennedy equated the former president's odds of ousting McConnell to that of a donkey learning to fly. He said, quote, I just don't realistically see that happening, said Kennedy, a Republican facing re-election next year in Louisiana and one of Trump's confidants in the Senate. And then what about Senator Lindsey Graham, right? I mean, he's the one. I mean, I feel like he's at a close tie with Ted Cruz in regard to how far he was willing to go to humiliate himself on behalf of Donald Trump. Well, Senator Lindsey Graham, one of Trump's closest advisors, said McConnell was indispensable to Trump's legislative accomplishments. And honestly, that is true. That is an honest statement. Mitch McConnell did help Trump succeed in many of his goals, again, including the Trump tax cuts for the rich and also the confirmation of hundreds of federal judges. And by the way, Trump is also going even further. This isn't just about ousting McConnell, it's about endorsing challengers to McConnell's preferred GOP candidates. So the only primary so far featuring a direct Trump-McConnell showdown is in Alaska, where the former president has endorsed a bid from a former state agency head named Kelly Tshibaka to unseat Senator Lisa Murkowski. Now, why does he want to unseat Lisa Murkowski, who is endorsed by Mitch McConnell? Because Lisa Murkowski didn't agree with him on 100% of matters. And also voted to indict him in the impeachment.
Yeah, so of course he's gonna be against all those people because me. So guys, this is a really interesting story because these are the two worst people in politics in my lifetime. Now, Dick Cheney and Roger Ailes made a good run at it, and you could argue for those two too, but they're definitely, that's the final four right there. Because Donald Trump is the perfect representative of fascism and is a direct threat to our democracy. And if you're a Republican, you're like, oh no, I don't like that. Oh, I just like violence and smashing things if we don't win. I don't care. There's reality and there's your insane alternate reality. But Trump would have ended our democracy and tried to end our democracy by having the absurd Mike Pence say, hey, no, I'm throwing out all of the votes of the American voters and I'm gonna put Trump in office. That's what Trump wanted to do. So he's the perfect representative of fascism, and he tried to bring fascism to America. He's still trying to do that. Mitch McConnell is the perfect representative of corruption in America. And again, these are not just representatives, they're actually doing it. They're at the very, very heart. They're the team captains of fascism and corporatism. So Mitch McConnell has actually sued several times and gone to the Supreme Court and won, saying corporations should be able to legally bribe every politician in a completely unlimited way behind the scenes so no one can see what they're doing, so we could all serve corporate masters. So what's worse? It's a good question. They're both horrible and have destroyed our democracy. So the fact that these two monsters are fighting each other is great news. Hopefully they shred the Republican Party, rip it apart, and lead to endless losses. Cross your fingers. I've told you now, no, look, on this, I have a lot of credibility because I've told you now for over a decade that infighting in the Republican Party is not necessarily a bad thing for Republicans. And actually Democrats could use some of that. It has led the country to be more and more right-wing, but not this. And the reason there's a distinction here is because that was just pushing the party further and further right, and it pushed all of Washington further and further right and moved the Overton window. In this case, Trump actually cost them those two Georgia seats by depressing voter turnout, by telling people don't do mail-in ballots, everything fraudulent, don't bother voting. And now McConnell unfortunately has always had a good plan with the biggest liar corporate scam artists as their candidates, backed with tons of hundreds of millions of dollars in money, and they usually win. Now Trump's coming in there and trying to screw it up. Great, okay? So let them fight to the end of eternity, and I hope they both lose at the end and have destroyed fascism and corporatism together. And that's why you're seeing normal kiss asses like John Kennedy and Lindsey Graham in a conundrum. Do I want Trump's endorsement or do I want the bribes? And the reality is they want to do both. And now Trump is saying you can't have both. And that puts him in a wonderfully bad spot. There are a lot of great ways to watch the Young Turks, but is there a best way? Of course, the best way is to watch live. Tune in weekdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. You get our uncensored, unapologetic version of the news that you won't get anywhere else. Watch us live.